I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, September the 1st. Hard to believe we're already in September. Fall will be here before long. Brought to you in part by Vitalix. Vitalix is committed to leading the way in how controlled, consistent nutrition is delivered to almost all species of livestock. Get the blue tub. Visit Vitalix.com. We're suddenly bearish. And how did the complexion of this market change so fast? Well, your packers absolutely refused to give what your cattle feeders thought they had coming last week, and it just seemed to kill everybody's spirit. I talked to several people this week, and most of your cattle feeders that I talked to said, well, they didn't say it in so many words, but you could just hear their tone. Well, we had a pretty decent run, we got them up there. Wait a minute, the futures were telling us we were going to be well deep into the 130s and headed into the 140s this spring. But no, we didn't even reach 126 weighted average on live cattle in your 5-area feeding region last week. We fell short of that, 126. Yet everybody just, feels like they've been defeated. And your board's down big this week. A lot of it is hedging pressure. Guys were kind of riding a wave there for the last several weeks as we were gaining ground and things were looking so positive. And so many of them now are just dallying up to something out there that might make a few bucks a head, while your packers are making now over $1,100 a head. And just giving up and just going to go ahead and just lock in something and then probably just go ahead and promise the cattle to the packers, and that's why we've gotten into the shape that we've gotten in. We haven't traded a hoof confirmed this week really, but we feel like we've lost. There's a big lack of confidence from the few longs that we have, not in the business but in managed money, and how can they have any confidence in buying the board or taking long positions whenever they know that the cattle industry can't even chip away at some of these profits that the packers are making. But it's a real deflated, kind of defeating type of feeling this week, when just a week ago we were so confident that we were going to keep digging and picking up ground. But even though we've still got all kinds of positive fundamentals, but like I said on our last visit, your packers defy your realization of your fundamentals, and so we can't get to that. Your grading is slipping. The grading is slipping. Not as many high choice cattle, not as many prime cattle, and people are saying, well, that's how come your packers don't want them. That's a positive. That's a bullish factor. That means that we're pulling cattle quicker. The only way that you can make cattle grade better is to overfeed them or continue to keep them on concentrated ration for longer. So that should be a positive, not a negative. Our market ready supplies are tightening daily. There's even signs that they're starting to tighten in the southern plains, where we've had those feedlots pretty well full and been running at a big discount to what the northern plains is running. But we do have the fear over our head of labor issues in these plants that continue, and part of that has to do to COVID. Part of it has to do because they continue to be lazy and not show up to work. But the COVID deal and more of how it affects our consumer end is what's hanging over our head. And now we've got this big debacle of Afghanistan hanging over our head, and now all we have to do is wait till we have a significant terrorist attack of these gangs of Middle Easterners using our weapons against us, or maybe even another democracy out there somewhere, another free world. But we're just waiting for some of that, and then anything like that could just completely pull the rug out from under what market position that we've gained, which it's appearing that we're going to lose market position this week. And I was pretty tough on our president earlier this week and got a lot of hate mail, even from Feeder Flash gang members, not the true blue conservative Feeder Flash gang members, but the guys that can't see the forest for the trees. They say, well, heck, I like Biden, you know, I'm getting more money for my commodities out there. It's inflation, people. It's just inflation. Inflation's fun for a while. You know, it's kind of like that movie that come out with the song that said about falling in love. It's funny how falling feels like flying for a little while. Well, that's kind of the way inflation is. You know, this inflation's a lot of fun. Okay, well, all of your inputs are inflated too. And that's all a result of this new administration. But what's the only thing that you can do to control inflation? Is raise interest rates. Okay, you guys ready for some of that? We've been operating with cheap money for decades now, for a long time. You start thinking about who's the worst president we've had next to our current president. Well, that goes back to Jimmy Carter. You guys want to pay some more of that 20% interest? As tight as they've got the margins whittled down now. I mean, guys trying to make a living on pennies. I mean, just hardly anything, and everybody has to get bigger and bigger than they really want to be, bigger than that's really feasible for the size of their facility, for the size of their operation. They have to continue to handle more because the margins are so tight. Try to do that whenever we get to interest rates that start stacking up and getting high on us. I tell you what, you know, if you guys think that this is a great administration because some of your commodity prices are a little higher than what you've been seeing, you're looking at it completely wrong. Well, let's look at the board on Tuesday. August live cattle futures down $1.30 and ended their life at 118.95. That's another kick in the nuts. Okay, our most recent established market in the Southern Plains is 123. Northern Plains be 126 to maybe as high as 128. And we ended the contract of August live cattle at 118.95. That's the lowest we've seen a live cattle contract in since April. And you think we're not in a bearish mode right now? October live cattle down $1.42, sitting at 126.90 and fading. So, you know, that was well over 130 just a few sessions ago. And then you go on your back months and they were down 10 cents to down $1.20. So, you know, we thought we were climbing this slope. We didn't realize there was a big drop off, you know, just a quarter way up the hill. How about your feeder cattle? September feeder cattle down $1.05. Why are feeder cattle down? Well, because we know that we're not going to be able to achieve some of these big fat cattle prices that everybody has been planning on. The reason that they've been blowing their brains out on these feeder cattle. So all those guys are hedging. There's a lot of hedging pressure. There's hedging pressure on your live cattle from your cattle feeders. There's hedging pressure on your feeder cattle contracts from all these calf sellers out here that's been eyeballing these big prices on feeder cattle, hoping that they were going to achieve those when they get ready to sell their calves later this fall. Well, guys, if you bring in balling calves and they're fleshy, it's hard telling what kind of discount you're going to make. And I don't know if that hedge is going to completely cover your wranglers or not. But October feeder cattle down $1.20 at 167.75. You go on your back months of feeder cattle, mostly all down as much as 87 cents to up just a hair, way down the line at up 7 cents. And you think, well, maybe the inputs were higher. No, December corn, new crop corn down 8.5. It's down to 534.25, so dropping pretty fast. Fat cattle trade didn't have anything confirmed on any USDA market report. They did finally pick up some stuff late. I don't think these packers are getting that information plugged in as fast as they're supposed to either. I did hear through a reliable source that we did have some trade in Iowa from a regional. What would we do without the regionals, guys? We would be completely done already. We'd be contract growers of hogs, chickens, and turkeys if we didn't have our regional packers. But regionals bought a big string of cattle in Iowa at 204, which doesn't sound all that bad. Dress 204, but that's $4 lower than the similar type trade last week. We are losing ground fast. Even in the sale barn, Stockman's Livestock, Yankton, South Dakota. I talked to several people there. They called the market sure $1 and maybe as much as $2 lower. Your conventional type cattle through the ring in Yankton selling from 121 to 126.50, which doesn't sound all that bad because you sure can't get that in the country, especially in the southern plains. But your drug-free cattle and your non-implanted cattle selling from 126.5 to 135.25, and I think guys, you're going to have to start looking into some of these programs, at least having affidavits, if not third-party verification, to promise your cattle to have some type of a premium. And there's real premiums out there. We can call it discount on your average cattle, but it's hard to argue that whenever we see some cattle that sure enough got the goods as far as a program, and they just bring, they just launch and leave the price range. I'm going to tell you another deal like that on some feeder cattle later. But box beef cutout values drifted lower again, but not as much as they have the last few sessions. So that's why your packers have really started playing hardballs, because they can't continue to force these big prices on their box beef cutout values anymore, getting too much resistance. But how about choice cuts? 342.11, down 67 cents for your day session. Selects 312.03. Yeah, this is still well over $3 a pound, guys, and they don't want to give you $2 a pound for your cattle. But 312.03 on selects, down 52 cents. Slaughter just kind of right in there, 238,000 so far, just 2 days this week. Up 2,000 from last week, down 2,000 from the same week a year ago. I want to talk again about one of those new reports that we started getting here just a few weeks ago. Your net distribution nationwide on direct live cattle, and kind of shows you how negotiated matches up with your other ways of selling cattle in a direct negotiated basis there. But on a live basis, which has been kind of struggling to keep up with formulas and negotiated grids and things, was right in there this past week. This is cattle that were priced on Monday. This is net prices, negotiated 125.54. Formulas edged them out by just a few pennies per hundredweight at 125.69. I think more people should sell negotiated for just sacrificing a few pennies per hundredweight net to try to raise the market in dollars and hunks when we have the opportunity to do it. But your forward contracts 125.08, negotiated grid 124.34 on a live basis, compared to negotiated live at 125.54. Now dressed, your negotiated just went off and left your other ways of selling cattle. Nobody wants to sell cattle negotiated anymore because they say they're not getting paid for their good cattle. Well, as a whole, nationwide, your dressed negotiated net price 204.38 weighted average, and your formulas $5 less than that at 199.42. Your negotiated grid almost $5 less than that, less than negotiated at 199.55, and your forward contracts $15 back from your negotiated current delivery stuff at 189.72. So negotiated is not a foregone conclusion that you can't get anything. Yeah, there are some premiums out there, but there's a hell of a lot of discounts on them too. And when you get them all put together, your weighted average, nationwide anyway, is suffering well behind some guys that are getting out there, haggling over price, promoting their cattle, making the contacts and getting the cattle sold. But a lot of that is due to your regionals. Like I said, if we didn't have our regionals, we'd be completely sunk. What else we want to talk about? How about Beaver Red Angus? Their secondary sponsor here on this episode of the Feeder Flash. Beaver Red Angus Ranch is a family-owned operation with over 50 years of success and experience there. You want to get onto their website, beaverredangus.com, and check out their semen catalog. You can order semen there from some of their best breeding stock that they have. And then check out the fall sales schedule. Beaver Fever sales. You got a sale coming up in October way down there in the southeast in Georgia, and that'll be a good sale. They're taking the cattle to you guys down there in the southeast, and you can go in there and buy them right there on site in Georgia at their October sale. And then at the ranch in November, they'll have their big Beaver Red Angus sale. But go to beaverredangus.com for more information. How about your feeder cattle market and your sale barns on a Tuesday? Your real-time index, which is a 7-day moving average, just like your CME cash feeder cattle index, is just about a day more current, and includes all the sales of 7 to 899 pound steers that we report through Cattle Market Central there up through your middle 12 states. Your real-time index late on Tuesday at 157.75. That was actually up 33 cents because we had some Northern Plains sales sell at a big premium to what we've been getting here the last several days. How about some big sales on Tuesday? Ozarks Regional Stockyard, West Plains, Missouri, 2,600 head in the ring with another 750 on their in-house video that they have with DV Auction. They have video lots almost every week, and sometimes big ones. But West Plains sold calves steady to $5 higher. Said it was really active on the calf market there. Didn't have a really good test in a comparison for last week on the yearlings, but they sure had some in there. How about this big string through the ring? West Plains, Missouri at Ozarks Regional Stockyard, 220 head, 931 pound steers in one whack, bring 152 1/4. How about some calf sales? How about Miles City Livestock Commission in Miles City, Montana? You know, up there in those drought areas in the Northern Plains, they're having to pull those calves a lot lighter than what they really wanted to do. Because they'd like to hold on to them longer. They just can't. They haven't had enough moisture up there. That is the benefit to you guys that want to buy strings of ranched raised pee-wee calves. How about at Miles City? 55 head, 407 pound steer calves bring $2.20 a pound. How about Fredonia Livestock Auction in Fredonia, Kansas? My friend Brad Hahn there had a really good sale on Tuesday, including this string of nice calves. 180 head of 551 pound steer calves bring 181.75. And then how about Rezac Livestock Commission in St. Mary's, Kansas? Denny Rezac and company there. Stick out sale on their Tuesday market. 65 head, 802 pound steers bring $168. And then how about Beaver County Stockyards right there? Man, Jeff Slatton there and the whole crew, man, do they sell cattle there in no man's land, Oklahoma. It's in the middle of nowhere, I'll guarantee you. But if you get to thinking about it, it ain't that far from anywhere, from where it sits right there, which is kind of an anomaly, but it's a kind of a unique place there at Beaver County Stockyards. Guarantee you they don't have a pen that ain't brand new and wouldn't hold elephants. Got a nice facility there that they've spent a lot of money fixing up there. 2,200 head of feeders in Beaver, Oklahoma. And you look at this market report out of there, automated market report they broadcast on DV Auction every week. How about your best tested weights here? 567 head of 8-weight steers in Beaver, Oklahoma, averaged 843 with a weighted average price of $156.48. Where else are you going to get that in the Southern Plains? How about 411 head of 9-weight feeder steers at Beaver County Stockyards, average 949 at 152.46, and both of those big best tested weights were $1 to $2 higher than last week. But the best quotes that I saw anywhere on Tuesday come out of Kimball Livestock Exchange in Kimball, South Dakota. 3,500 head of feeders on tap there in Kimball, South Dakota. And man, to look at this automated market report. You won't see this market report anywhere else because they're not reported anywhere else. But luckily, there's a lot of you guys watching Feeder Flash, and you can learn about Kimball, South Dakota there. Look at your best tested weights of steers. 952 head of 8-weight steers. You didn't think there was that many left in that country. They averaged 859 with a weighted average price on all them 8-weight steers of almost 165. 164.87. Unbelievable. They had another 932 head of 9-weight steers in Kimball, and they averaged 933 at 161.47. Wow. On all the 9-weight steers in here, not hand plucked, not the few deals pulled off. That's on all of them. How about your best tested weights of heifers? 555 head of 7-weight heifers averaged 763 at 157.78. The steers won't bring that most places. But your best quote that I saw anywhere, and they did come out of Kimball Livestock Exchange, your Zach Tran top quote for the day. You think program cattle don't bring more? 204 head of NHTC, no implant steers, averaged 870 pounds. One drive of them bring 170.50. And that's your Feeder Flash for Wednesday.